Have you ever felt that, despite all your years of giving, your voice is starting to carry less weight? Or perhaps you feel a quiet regret about things you can no longer change. In our modern world, we are often overwhelmed by family dynamics, health shifts, or the feeling that we are losing control over the life we worked so hard to build. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself in his private writings about this struggle. He wrote that we should be like the rocky headland on which the waves break incessantly, but which stands fast. To illustrate this, imagine a grandmother waiting for a phone call that never comes. She cannot force the call, but she can choose how she cares for her own spirit. This illustration reflects a very real pain. Today, we will explore a principle called the inner compass method and a simple practice you can use this evening. I invite you to listen until the end for a moment of clarity. Before we begin, please type, "I control my response," in the comments. I control my response. The first principle we must explore together is the foundation of all Stoic peace. It is a concept we can call the circle of the inner compass. In its simplest form, this principle asks us to recognize that the world is divided into two very distinct categories. Some things belong entirely to us, and some things do not. The Stoics believed that almost all human suffering, anxiety, and late-night worry come from a single mistake. We spend our precious energy trying to reach outside our own circle to fix things that we do not actually own. We try to control the weather, the economy, or the choices of our grown children. When these things do not go the way we want, we feel a sense of failure. We feel as though we have lost our way. But the truth is, we never had the steering wheel for those things in the first place. The inner compass reminds us that our true power only exists within the boundaries of our own mind and our own choices. Why is this principle so incredibly difficult to apply in our modern lives? For those of us who have spent decades building a home, raising a family, and navigating a career, the habit of being responsible is deeply ingrained. We feel that if we care enough, or if we worry enough, we can somehow protect the people we love from their own mistakes. In the age of the internet and the 24-hour news cycle, this burden has become even heavier. We are constantly fed information about global events that we cannot change. We see the curated lives of others on social media, and we feel a pressure to maintain a certain reputation or status. For the person in their 60s or 70s, there is often an added layer of what we might call the legacy burden. We want to ensure that our family is secure and that our hard work was worth it. This modern world demands that we be concerned with everything at all times. This creates a state of constant, low-grade exhaustion. We are trying to carry the weight of 1,000 circles that do not belong to us. To make this clear, let us consider a fictional illustration that may feel very familiar to many of you. Imagine a woman named Martha. Martha is 70 years old, and she has a son in his 40s named David. David has recently made some very poor financial decisions. He is struggling to pay his bills, and he often calls Martha to vent his frustrations. Martha loves her son deeply. Because of that love, she spends her nights staring at the ceiling, mentally calculating his debts. She tries to give him advice that he does not follow. She feels a physical tightness in her chest every time the phone rings. Martha believes that her worry is a sign of her love. However, the Stoic perspective would suggest something different. Martha is suffering because she has placed her peace of mind inside David's bank account. She is trying to control David's choices, which are outside her circle. By doing this, she has abandoned her own circle. She has lost her own stillness, which is the only thing she actually has the power to maintain. When we look at this situation through the lens of history, we find great wisdom. Epictetus, who began his life as a slave and lived with a permanent physical disability, understood the nature of power better than most kings. He had no control over his body or his legal status for many years. Because of this, he was forced to find freedom within his own thoughts. Epictetus wrote in the very first chapter of his manual, "Some things are up to us, and some are not up to us. Our opinions are up to us, and our impulses, desires, aversion. In short, whatever is our own doing, our bodies are not up to us, nor are our possessions, our reputations, or our public offices. That is, whatever is not our own doing." If you follow this thinking, you realize that Martha cannot control David's debt. She cannot even control the fact that her heart is beating fast. But she can control the opinion she holds about the situation. She can choose to see David as an adult who must learn his own lessons. She can choose to be a calm, supportive listener instead of a frantic fixer. By pulling her compass back to her own center, she regains her dignity. You can apply this principle when you are dealing with a difficult family member who refuses to listen. You can apply this when you receive news about your health that feels unfair. You can even apply this when you are overthinking a conversation that happened 10 years ago. In every one of these moments, ask yourself, is this my doing? Or is it the world's doing? If it is the world's doing, you must learn to let it go. This is not about being cold or uncaring. It is about being effective. You cannot help your son, your spouse, or your community. If you are drowning in anxiety over things you cannot change, you serve the world best when you are standing on the solid ground of your own character. To help you move from theory into practice, I would like to offer you a simple exercise called the 2-column morning. It is a very practical way to reset your inner compass. I invite you to try this tomorrow morning. Perhaps while you are having your first cup of coffee or tea. Step number 1. Take a single sheet of paper and draw a line straight down the middle. This creates 2 distinct spaces. Step number 2. On the left side, write the word mine. On the right side, write the words not mine. Step number 3. Spend exactly 5 minutes listing the things that are currently weighing on your mind. Be very honest. If you are worried about the rain ruining your garden, put the rain in the not mine column. If you are worried about your own impatience with a neighbor, put your impatience in the my column. Step number 4. Look at the right-hand column, the not mine column. Take a deep, slow breath. Mentally tell yourself that you are resigning from the position of manager of these things. You are giving them back to the world. Step number V. Look at the left-hand column, the mine column. Choose just one thing from this list that you will work on today. Perhaps it is simply choosing to speak more gently to yourself. This exercise takes only 5 minutes, but it can change the entire direction of your day. It reminds you that your energy is a limited resource. When you stop wasting it on the right-hand column, you suddenly find you have plenty of strength for the left. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the master of your own responses. Please remember this truth throughout your afternoon. Some things are yours. Most things are not. Focus on what is yours. Focus on what is yours. If you feel ready to reclaim your own stillness today, I invite you to join our community in a small act of commitment. Type "I focus on what is mine" in the comments below. By writing these words, you are telling your mind that you are no longer willing to be a prisoner of things you cannot control. You are choosing to walk with dignity. You are choosing peace. I focus on what is mine. The second principle we must explore today offers a profound sense of protection for your heart. We call this the principle of the inner citadel. The Stoics believed that your character, your values, and your internal peace form a fortress. This fortress is the only place in the entire world where you are truly safe. Within these walls, you are the sole authority. No matter what happens in the streets outside, no matter what people say or how they behave, they cannot break into this citadel unless you leave the door wide open. This principle teaches us that our dignity does not depend on the approval of others. It depends entirely on our own commitment to virtue. When we understand the inner citadel, we realize that we can be at peace even when the people around us are unkind, ungrateful, or dismissive. We stop looking for our worth in the eyes of other people and start finding it in the quiet consistency of our own actions. Applying this principle is perhaps the greatest challenge we face in our modern lives. Many of us have spent 40, 50, or 60 years living for other people. We have been the caregivers, the providers, and the emotional anchors for our families. Because we have given so much, we naturally expect a certain level of respect or gratitude in return. When that gratitude does not come, or when someone we love treats us with indifference, it feels like a deep betrayal. In today's world, this pain is often amplified by how we communicate. We might send a heartfelt message to a child or a friend and see that it has been read, yet receive no reply for days. We might see photos of family gatherings on social media that we were not invited to attend. These modern moments create a specific kind of loneliness. They make us feel as though our fortress has been torn down. We begin to overthink every conversation, wondering what we did wrong or why we are suddenly being treated like a stranger. The modern world tells us that our value is tied to our social connections, but the Stoics would tell us that this is a dangerous way to live. It places the key to your happiness in the pocket of someone else. To help us understand how the inner citadel works in practice, let us consider a fictional illustration. Imagine a man named Arthur. Arthur is a retired teacher who spent 30 years serving his community. He was always the first person to help a neighbor and the one who kept his family together during difficult times. Now, in his late 60s, Arthur feels a growing sense of being forgotten. His adult children are busy with their own lives and rarely call. At a recent community event, he noticed that his younger colleagues did not seek his advice as they once did. One afternoon, Arthur overheard a former friend making a dismissive comment about his old-fashioned ways. This hurt Arthur deeply. He felt a wave of resentment and a desire to strike back with a sharp word. He found himself lying awake at night, rehearsing the speech he would give to prove his friend wrong. Arthur's citadel was under attack, and he was letting the enemy inside his mind. He was allowing the opinion of an unkind person to dictate his internal weather. The Stoic path offers Arthur a different way to respond to this friction. Instead of fighting with the world, the Stoics suggest that we turn inward. We must remember that the unkindness of others is a reflection of their character, not us. Marcus Aurelius wrote these words in his private journal to remind himself of this truth. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. This is a powerful shift in perspective. It means that when someone is disrespectful, the most virtuous thing you can do is to remain respectful. When someone is ungrateful, you continue to be a person who values gratitude. If you become bitter because someone else is bitter, you have lost your most precious possession. You have allowed them to change who you are. The Stoics taught that your character is the only thing that cannot be taken from you, unless you throw it away. Arthur does not need to prove his friend wrong. He only needs to continue being a man of integrity. By doing so, he keeps his citadel secure. You can apply this principle when you feel ignored by your family or when a long-term friendship seems to be fading. You can apply this when you feel the sting of being unappreciated for the work you do as a caregiver or a volunteer. Instead of asking why they are being so unkind, ask yourself, am I still being the person I want to be? If you are, then you have not lost anything. You can choose to see their behavior as a missed opportunity for them, rather than a failure for you. This perspective allows you to move through the world with a quiet, unshakable dignity. You are no longer waiting for a thank you to feel that your life has meaning. You find meaning in the act of being virtuous itself. To help you strengthen your own inner citadel, I would like to offer a practice called the Sunset Review. This is a very helpful way to process the social friction of the day before you go to sleep. It ensures that you do not take the weight of other people's behavior into your dreams. Step number 1. Sit quietly for 10 minutes as the day comes to a close. Take a few slow, deep breaths to settle your mind. Step number 2. Mentally identify one specific moment from today where you felt hurt, ignored, or disrespected by another person. Try to look at the memory without judgment. Step number 3. Visualize that person's behavior as a physical object, like a heavy stone, which they have tried to hand to you. Step number 4. Realize that you do not have to accept the stone. In your mind, see yourself gently handing it back to them. Tell yourself, this belongs to your character, not mine. It has no place in my home. Step number 5. Reflect on your own response. If you stayed calm, be thankful for your progress. If you lost your temper, simply resolve to do better tomorrow. This practice is not about being perfect. It is about realizing that you have a choice. You are the gatekeeper of your own mind. By performing this review every evening, you slowly build walls that no insult can scale, and no betrayal can burn down. You begin to walk through your life with a sense of calm that others will notice. But more importantly, a calm that you will feel. You are reclaiming your power. You are deciding that your peace is worth more than a moment of being right. Please carry this thought with you as you rest tonight. Your character is your fortress. No one can enter without your permission. No one can enter without your permission. If you are ready to stop letting the opinions of others disrupt your peace, please join our community in this simple affirmation. Type, "My peace is my own," in the comments below. By typing this, you are making a commitment to yourself. You are choosing to stand firm in your own inner citadel. You are choosing to be defined by your own kindness, rather than the unkindness of the world. My peace is my own. The third principle we must explore today offers a profound source of strength as we move through the later chapters of our lives. We call this principle amor fati, which is a Latin phrase meaning the love of fate. The fict. Stoics believed that the universe is not a collection of random accidents, but a rational and interconnected system. They taught that every event in your life, whether it feels like a blessing or a burden, is a necessary part of a larger whole. Amor fati is the art of not only accepting what happens to you, but learning to embrace it as exactly what you need for your own growth. This principle asks us to stop fighting against reality. It asks us to stop asking why a certain thing happened, and instead ask what we can do with it. When we practice the love of fate, we move from being victims of our circumstances to being the masters of our own character. We realize that while we cannot choose the cards we are dealt, we can choose the spirit with which we play the hand. Applying the love of fate is uniquely difficult in our modern world, especially as we face the natural transitions of aging. Our modern culture is deeply uncomfortable with the reality of time. We are surrounded by messages that tell us to fight against the signs of growing older, as if aging were a disease rather than a natural process. We are told that our value is tied to our productivity, our physical beauty, or our ability to do everything ourselves. For many of us in our 60s, 70s, and beyond, this creates a state of internal conflict. We might feel a sense of betrayal when our bodies no longer move as quickly as they once did. We might feel a sense of loss as we step away from roles that once defined us, such as being the head of a company or the primary provider for our family. This transition is often called the body betrayal. It is a modern struggle where we feel like a stranger in our own skin. We spend our mental energy wishing things were different, longing for the health of 10 years ago, or worrying about future limitations. This resistance does not change the reality of our health, but it does destroy our peace of mind. It turns a natural physical change into a source of deep emotional suffering. To see how amor fati works in a real-life situation, let us consider a fictional illustration. Imagine a man named Edward. Edward was a construction foreman for 40 years. He took great pride in his physical strength and his ability to work from dawn until dusk. Now, at the age of 72, Edward is dealing with a chronic heart condition and severe arthritis. He can no longer tend to his large garden, and he finds that even a short walk to the mailbox leaves him breathless. Edward feels a deep sense of resentment. He looks at his garden tools in the garage and feels like a failure. He tells himself that he is useless now. He spends his days overthinking his symptoms, wondering if every small pain is a sign of the end. He is fighting his fate with every breath. By doing this, Edward is missing the beauty of his current life. He is so focused on the man he used to be that he cannot see the man he is now. He is missing the opportunity to share his wisdom with his grandchildren or to enjoy the quiet stillness of his mornings. He is choosing to suffer because he cannot accept the natural season of his life. The Stoic path offers Edward a way to find his power again, even within his limitations. The Stoics did not believe that a good life required a perfect body. In fact, many of the greatest Stoic teachers dealt with profound physical challenges. Seneca, a brilliant advisor and writer, suffered from chronic respiratory issues his entire life that often left him struggling for breath. He understood that the spirit is independent of the flesh. Seneca wrote these words to encourage those facing physical trials. A brave and world-conquering spirit can be found even in a broken body. This means that Edward's value did not come from his ability to lift heavy beams or dig in the soil. His value came from the courage and dignity he showed while facing his new reality. By practicing amor fati, Edward can say to himself, "This heart condition is my fate. I did not choose it, but it is here. Therefore, I will use it as my training ground. I will learn patience. I will learn to be grateful for the things I can still do. I will be a person who faces the sunset of life with a steady gaze and a kind heart." When Edward stops fighting the reality of his body, he suddenly finds he has the energy to live fully again. You can apply this principle when you receive a health diagnosis that changes your daily routine. You can apply this when you feel the loneliness of a house that is now too quiet after your children have moved away. You can even apply this when you feel a sense of regret about the past. Instead of saying, "This should not be happening," you say, "This is happening, and I will find the good in it." You can bridge this philosophy with your own faith, recognizing that each day is a gift to be used. Regardless of your physical strength, you are not defined by what you have lost. You are defined by how you carry what you have left. This is the ultimate form of control. It is the ability to look at a difficult situation and say, "This is for me, not against me." To help you move into this state of acceptance, I would like to offer a practice called the Gratitude Inventory. This is a very effective tool for those times when you feel overwhelmed by the limitations of your body or your circumstances. It helps you shift your focus from what is missing to what is present. Step number 1. Find a quiet place to sit for 3 to 5 minutes each day. Perhaps in the afternoon when the house is still. Step number 2. Close your eyes and take 3 very slow, intentional breaths. Focus only on the feeling of the air entering and leaving your body. This is a reminder that you are alive in this moment. Step number 3. Mentally list 3 very small, specific things that your body or your mind allowed you to do today. Do not look for big achievements. Look for small mercies. Perhaps you were able to taste your morning coffee. Perhaps you were able to read a letter from a friend. Perhaps you were able to see the sun rising through your window. Step number 4. For each item, say to yourself, "I love this moment. It is enough." Step number 5. If a thought of regret or a worry about your health enters your mind, do not fight it. Simply acknowledge it and return to your list of 3 small things. This practice only takes a few minutes, but it builds a habit of seeing the value in the present. It stops you from living in a past that no longer exists or a future that has not yet arrived. It teaches you that your dignity is not found in your physical perfection, but in your ability to appreciate the life you have right now. You are learning to love your fate, one small moment at a time. You are realizing that your spirit remains whole, even as your body changes. Please remember this as you move through your week. You are a brave and world-conquering spirit. You are not your limitations. You are the one who chooses how to face them. You are the one who chooses how to face them. If you are ready to embrace the life you have been given and find the strength in your current season, please join our community in this short affirmation. Type "I embrace" what is in the comments below. By writing these words, you are making a quiet declaration of power. You are telling the world that you are not broken by your circumstances. You are choosing to find the purpose in every day. You are choosing to love your fate. I embrace what is. The final principle we must discuss today is perhaps the most vital of all. as it transforms these ancient ideas from mere words into a living reality. This is the principle of the prokopton, a Greek term for the one who is making progress. The Stoics did not believe in a sudden, overnight transformation. They did not teach that you could read a book or hear a lecture and suddenly be perfect. Instead, they viewed the philosophical life as a daily, ordinary, and unremarkable practice. It is like the work of a stonemason, laying one block at a time, day after day, until a wall is built. The principle of progress reminds us that we do not have to be perfect today. We only have to be slightly more aware than we were yesterday. It is a philosophy of the small step. It is the understanding that our character is not formed in a single moment of crisis, but in the thousands of quiet choices we make when no one is watching. For the person in the later years of life, this principle is an invitation to realize that it is never too late to begin. Your legacy is not something that happened in the past. It is something you are creating with the very next breath you take. Applying this daily consistency is incredibly difficult in our modern world, which is designed to keep us in a state of constant distraction. We are living in what many call the attention economy. Every time we pick up a smartphone or turn on a television, we are being pulled away from our own minds. We are encouraged to react to every headline, every notification, and every passing emotion. This creates a scattered internal life where we feel as though we are always running but never arriving. For many of us who are now retired or spending more time at home, this distraction takes a different form. It might be the temptation to dwell on the past, to replay old arguments, or to worry about the future of our grandchildren. We find it hard to sit in a room for 10 minutes without reaching for a distraction. We have lost the art of being present with our own thoughts. This modern restlessness makes the Stoic practice feel like an uphill battle. We start with good intentions, but then a family crisis or a health flare-up happens, and we abandon our practice. We feel that because we failed for one day, the entire effort was a waste. We are stuck in an all-or-nothing mindset that prevents us from making real, lasting progress. To see what this looks like in a relatable way, let us consider a fictional illustration. Imagine a man named Robert. Robert is 68 years old, and he has spent much of his life feeling like a victim of his own temper. He has a strained relationship with his brother over a disagreement that happened 5 years ago. Robert decided to start practicing Stoicism after hearing about the circle of focus. On Monday, he felt very peaceful. He was kind to his neighbors and ignored a rude driver. But on Tuesday, his brother called and said something dismissive, and Robert exploded in anger. He felt a deep sense of shame. He told himself that he was too old to change, and that this philosophy was only for people with perfect lives. Robert was ready to give up. He didn't realize that his anger on Tuesday was not a failure of the philosophy. It was simply the reality of being a human being. He was looking for a destination, but Stoicism is a path. Robert needed to understand that the goal was not to never get angry, but to catch the anger faster next time and return to his center with dignity. The Stoic teachers were very compassionate toward this human struggle. They knew that we would stumble. They were not distant figures. They were people who faced wars, exile, and the loss of children. They used their journals to coach themselves back to sanity every single morning. Marcus Aurelius wrote these words to himself during a particularly difficult time. When you are forced by circumstances to be disturbed, Quickly return to yourself, and do not stay out of rhythm longer than necessary. You will be more the master of the harmony by continually returning to it. This is a beautiful reminder that our peace is like a musical rhythm. Sometimes we lose the beat. Sometimes the world knocks us out of tune. But the power lies in our ability to return. We do not judge ourselves for losing the rhythm. We simply choose to start again. This is what it means to be a person making progress. Robert's explosion of anger on Tuesday was just a moment when he lost the rhythm. His work was not to quit, but to return to his harmony as quickly as possible. You can apply this when you find yourself falling back into old habits of overthinking, or when you feel the familiar sting of resentment toward a family member. You can apply this when you feel you have wasted a whole afternoon in worry. Instead of being hard on yourself, which only creates more internal noise, you simply acknowledge the slip and return to your practice. This is how you reclaim your dignity in your later years. You are not a finished product. You are a work in progress until your final breath. This perspective allows you to bridge these ideas with your own faith or personal values, recognizing that every morning is a fresh start given to you by the world. You are not defined by your mistakes on Tuesday. You are defined by your willingness to return to the harmony on Wednesday. To help you build this habit of returning, I would like to share with you a comprehensive 7-day inner compass plan. This is a structured way to practice these principles, one small step at a time. I encourage you to take a moment to listen closely to these steps, as they are designed to be done in just a few minutes each day. Step number 1. On day 1. Focus entirely on the circle of focus. Every time you feel worried, ask yourself, is this mine or is it the world's? Just notice how many times you try to carry things that do not belong to you. Step number 2. On day 2. Practice the 3-second pause. Before you respond to a frustrating email, a loud neighbor, or a difficult family member, count to 3. This small gap is where your freedom lives. Step number 3. On day 3. Perform a media fast. For 4 hours. Turn off the news, the radio, and the phone. Spend that time in your physical world. Notice the birds, the light in the room, or the taste of your food. Step number 4. On day 4. Practice the inner citadel. If someone is unkind to you, do not take it personally. Remind yourself that their behavior is their character, and your response is your character. Keep your fortress doors closed. Step number 5. On day 5. Embrace amor fati. Identify one thing about your current health or your current living situation that you usually complain about. Today, say to yourself, this is my fate, and I will find the good in it. Step number 6. On day 6. Perform an act of virtue. Do one kind thing for someone else that no one will ever know about. This strengthens your character and reminds you that you still have much to give the world. Step number 7. On day 7. Practice reflection. Look back over the week. Do not count your failures. Count the times you successfully returned to the rhythm after you were disturbed. This 7-day plan is not a magic cure. It is a training program for your spirit. It reminds you that your life is made of ordinary days, and each day is a chance to be a person of character. As you move through this week, please keep this thought in your heart. You are not alone in this effort. You are part of a long tradition of men and women who have sought to live with dignity despite the chaos of the world. You are the master of the harmony. You are the one who chooses to return. You are the one who chooses to return. If you are ready to stop demanding perfection from yourself and start making real, quiet progress. Please join our community in this affirmation. Type, "I am making progress" in the comments below. By typing these words, you are permitting yourself to be human. You are acknowledging that while you may stumble, you will always find your way back to your inner compass. You are choosing the path of the Procopton. I am making progress. The final principle we must discuss today is the foundation of what the Stoics called ascesis, which simply means training. For the men and women who practiced this philosophy in ancient times, Stoicism was not a set of ideas to be studied in a classroom. It was an athletic discipline for the soul. They believed that just as a physical athlete must exercise every day to keep their body strong, we must exercise our minds to keep our character steady. This principle teaches us that wisdom is not a destination we reach once and for all. It is a daily, ordinary, and often unremarkable practice of choosing our responses for those of us in the later chapters of life. This is a beautiful and reassuring truth. It means that we do not have to be perfect. We do not have to have everything figured out. We only have to be committed to the practice of returning to our center, one day at a time. The goal of the Stoic path is not to become a statue that feels nothing, but to become a person who can navigate the storms of life with a steady hand on the rudder. This daily consistency is perhaps the most difficult thing to maintain in our modern world. We live in a culture that values speed and instant results. We are told that we can change our lives in a weekend or find happiness through a single purchase. Because of this, many people start a spiritual or philosophical journey with great enthusiasm. But they give up the moment they face a real challenge. For many in our demographic, the modern world feels increasingly noisy and chaotic. We are constantly pulled away from our own stillness by the demands of technology, the worries of our family, and the physical transitions of aging. We often feel that if we lose our temper with a spouse or spend an afternoon caught in overthinking, we have failed. We tell ourselves that we are too old to change, or that these ancient ideas are too difficult for our current reality. We are trapped in an all-or-nothing mindset. We believe that unless we are perfectly calm at all times, the practice is not working. This modern pressure to be perfect actually prevents us from making real, quiet progress. To illustrate how this looks in a modern home, let us consider a fictional example. Imagine a woman named Sarah. Sarah is 65 years old and has recently become the primary caregiver for her husband, who is recovering from a long illness. Sarah loves her husband, but the daily grind of caregiving is exhausting. She wants to be a Stoic. She wants to be patient and kind. One Tuesday morning, after a night of interrupted sleep, her husband is particularly frustrated and speaks sharply to her. Sarah snaps back. She says something she immediately regrets, and they spend the morning in a cold silence. Sarah feels a deep sense of shame. She tells herself that she is a failure and that all the books she has read about peace were a waste of time. She feels that because she slipped for 5 minutes, her entire character is ruined. Sarah is forgetting that Stoicism is a path, not a pedestal. Her snap of anger was not a failure of the philosophy. It was simply a moment where she lost the rhythm of her character. The Stoic teachers understood this human struggle very well. They knew that life is unpredictable and that we are all works in progress. They were not perfect men. They were people who had to remind themselves every single morning to stay on the path. Marcus Aurelius wrote these words in his private journal during a time of great stress. When you are forced by circumstances to be disturbed, quickly return to yourself and do not stay out of rhythm longer than necessary. You will be more the master of the harmony by continually returning to it. This is one of the most compassionate and practical pieces of advice in history. It tells us that being disturbed is a part of life. Circumstances will knock us off balance. People will be unkind. Our bodies will ache. The work of the Stoic is not to avoid being disturbed, but to shorten the time it takes to return to our center. Sarah did not fail when she snapped at her husband. She only lost her rhythm. Her real practice begins the moment she realizes she is out of tune and chooses to return to her kindness. You can apply this when you find yourself caught in a loop of overthinking about a past regret, or when you feel the familiar sting of resentment toward a child who hasn't called. You can apply this when you are facing a health flare-up and feel your patience wearing thin. Instead of judging yourself for being human, you simply notice that you have stepped outside your citadel. You take a slow breath, and you walk back in. This perspective allows you to bridge these ideas with your own faith. Recognizing that grace is found in starting over, you are not a finished product. You are a person making progress. Every morning is a fresh opportunity to lay one more brick in the wall of your character. To help you turn these ideas into a living habit, I would like to offer you a very specific 7-day inner compass plan. This plan is designed for the reality of your daily life. It requires no special equipment. Only a few minutes of your time and a willing heart. I invite you to listen closely to these steps. You may even want to write them down or listen to this section again tomorrow morning. Step number 1. On day 1, focus entirely on the circle of focus. Throughout the day, when a worry enters your mind, ask yourself, is this mine? Or is it the world's? If you find yourself worrying about the weather or the choices of a neighbor, mentally place that worry in the not mine column. Spend your energy only on your own thoughts and your own kindness. Step number 2. On day 2, practice the 3-second pause. This is especially helpful in your relationships. When someone says something that normally makes you feel defensive or annoyed, wait exactly 3 seconds before you speak. In those 3 seconds, remind yourself that you are the master of your response. This small gap is the space where your freedom lives. Step number 3. On day 3, focus on the threshold. Every time you physically walk through a door today, whether it is entering your kitchen or leaving your house, say to yourself, I control my character. Nothing else. Use the doorways of your home as physical reminders to pull your focus back to your own inner citadel. Step number 4. On day 4, perform a media fast. For 4 hours today, turn off the television, the radio, and the smartphone. Do not look at the news. Instead, focus entirely on your physical surroundings. Notice the feeling of the chair beneath you, the sound of the wind, or the taste of your afternoon tea. Reconnect with the world that is right in front of you. Step number 5. On day 5, embrace the role play. This is very effective if you are a caregiver or a volunteer. Tell yourself, my job today is to provide care with dignity, not to force a specific outcome. If the person you are caring for is difficult, remember that your success is measured by your patience. not by their reaction. Step number 6. On day 6. Practice the act of forgiveness. Identify one regret from 10 or 20 years ago that still bothers you. Realize that this event is now outside the circle of time. You cannot change it, and therefore it no longer belongs to you. In your mind, gently let it go. Remind yourself that you were doing the best you could with the tools you had at the time. Step number 7. On day 7. Focus on legacy. Write down one virtue you want people to remember you for, such as being a person of peace or a person of encouragement. For the rest of the day, act as if you already are that person. Do one small thing that reflects that virtue. This 7-day plan is not about achieving perfection. It is about building a rhythm. It is about proving to yourself that you still have the power to choose who you are becoming. It is a way to reclaim your dignity from the noise of the world. Please remember that you are not alone in this effort. Thousands of people are walking this same path with you, seeking the same sense of calm and character. You are the master of the harmony. You are the one who chooses to return. You are the one who chooses to return. If you are ready to stop demanding perfection and start making quiet, honest progress, I invite you to join our community in this affirmation. Type "I am making progress" in the comments below. By typing these words, you are telling your mind that it is okay to be a student of life. You are acknowledging that every stumble is just a signal to return to your rhythm. You are choosing to walk with the Stoics. I am making progress. The final principle we must bring into our hearts today is what we might call the sovereignty of the small. Throughout this journey together, we have looked at the vast wisdom of the Stoic teachers, but all of it leads back to a single, quiet truth. Your life is not found in the grand headlines of the world or in the massive changes of history. Your life is found in the next 10 minutes. It is found in the way you sit in your chair, the way you breathe, and the way you respond to the person standing right in front of you. The Stoics believed that each of us is given a small empire to rule. This empire is not made of land or gold. It is made of our own choices, our own kindness, and our own internal stillness. This principle teaches us that we do not need to fix the entire world to be at peace. We only need to be the masters of our own immediate surroundings. For those of us who have spent a lifetime caring for others, it can be a profound relief to realize that our ultimate success is measured by the quality of our character in this very moment. You are the sovereign of your own mind, and that is a kingdom no one can take from you. This principle is perhaps the most necessary and yet the most difficult to maintain in our modern, hyper-connected lives. We are living through a time that many call the age of the global burden. For the first time in human history, we can carry the weight of every tragedy, every conflict, and every crisis happening across the entire planet in the palm of our hand. Every time we look at our phones or turn on the news, we are flooded with information about things that are thousands of miles away. Because we are empathetic people, we feel a sense of responsibility to worry about it all. This modern noise creates a deep sense of helplessness. It makes our own small, quiet lives feel insignificant. We start to believe that if we aren't constantly anxious about the world, we aren't being good people. But this is a mistake that drains our spirit and leaves us with nothing left for our families or ourselves. We have become a generation that is aware of everything but has control over almost nothing. This digital overwhelm makes us forget that our true work is local It makes us forget that being a person of peace in our own living room is a revolutionary act. To understand this more deeply, I want to share a reflection that comes from my own life, and perhaps it will resonate with your own experience. I often find myself sitting at my own kitchen table in the early morning hours. I will have a cup of coffee in one hand and my tablet in the other. Scrolling through the news of the day, I see the political arguments, the economic shifts, and the suffering in distant lands. Very quickly, I can feel the weight of it all, pressing down on my chest. I start to feel small, tired, and overwhelmed. In those moments, I have to stop and take a slow breath. I have to remind myself that my empire is only as large as the room I am sitting in. I look at the steam rising from my coffee. I look at the light coming through the window. I realize that the most important thing I can do in the next hour is not to solve a global crisis, but to be truly present and kind. If I can be a person of patience when my spouse walks into the room, or if I can speak a gentle word to a neighbor, I have succeeded as a human being. This is not about being indifferent to the world. It is about being effective where you actually stand. It is about protecting the warmth you have left so that you can share it with those who truly need it. The Stoic masters were men who lived through periods of immense social and political upheaval, yet they arrived at this same humble conclusion. Marcus Aurelius was the ruler of the Roman Empire, yet his most famous writings were not about his military victories or his laws. They were quiet reminders to himself to stay focused on his own character. He understood that even an emperor only truly owns his own mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote these words to anchor his soul. During a time of chaos, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This is perhaps the most practical and direct instruction ever given. It tells us that we do not need more information. We do not need a more perfect plan. We do not need the world to calm down before we can be calm. We simply need to be the person we were meant to be, right here and right now. This means that if you are a caregiver, you focus on the care. If you are a grandparent, you focus on the love. If you are a friend, you focus on the listening. You stop arguing with reality and start living within it. You realize that your character is the only thing that is truly yours. You can apply this principle whenever you feel the weight of the news cycle or the anxiety of the future pressing in on you. You can apply this when you feel that your life is becoming smaller due to age or circumstance. Instead of seeing this as a loss, see it as a sharpening of your focus. This is the time when you can bridge these ideas with your own faith or personal values. Whatever your faith may be, there is a common grace in the act of being present and virtuous in the small things. You are not here to carry the world. You are here to be a light in your own corner of it. By focusing on your own circle, you actually become a source of strength for others. They see your steadiness, and it permits them to be steady as well. This is how a single quiet life becomes a legacy. It is not through grand gestures, but through the consistent application of kindness and reason. Remember that some things are yours. Most things are not. Focus on what is yours. Focus on what is yours. To help you reclaim the sovereignty of your own mind today, I would like to offer you a very simple practice called the room inventory. This is an excellent way to ground yourself when the noise of the world becomes too loud. It requires only 10 minutes of your time and a quiet space. Step number 1. Sit in your favorite chair and place your phone and all electronics in another room. Close the door and commit to these 10 minutes of silence. Step number 2. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. As you exhale, imagine you are letting go of every headline and every global worry you have encountered today. They do not belong in this room. Step number 3. Look around the room you are in. Identify 5 things you can see that are right here with you. Perhaps it is a photograph, a book, a plant, or the pattern of the floor. This is your immediate kingdom. Step number IV. Ask yourself this question: what is the most virtuous thing I can do in this room right now? It might be as simple as writing a thank you note, tidying a shelf, or just sitting in peaceful gratitude. Step number V. Perform that one small task with your full attention. Do it as if it were the most important work in the world, because in this moment, for you, it is. This practice is a way of coming home to yourself. It reminds you that your peace does not depend on what is happening in a distant city or on a television screen. Your peace depends on your ability to be a person of character in the present moment. By performing this inventory, you are drawing a line around your soul. You are telling the world that it can have its noise, but it cannot have your stillness. You are choosing to be a person of substance. You are choosing to be a person of peace. Please carry this sense of sovereignty with you as you move through the rest of your day. You have everything you need to be a good man or a good woman right where you are. You do not need to wait for the world to change. You only need to be the person you were capable of becoming. You only need to be the person you were capable of becoming. If you are ready to let go of the weight of the world and focus on being a person of character today, I invite you to join our community in this final affirmation of our journey. Type "I focus on what is mine" in the comments below. By writing these words, you are reclaiming your power. You are deciding that your life is not a distraction, but a practice. You are choosing to walk with dignity and warmth. You are choosing to be the master of your own small empire. I focus on what is mine. As we reach the end of our time together, I want you to think back to Martha, the grandmother we spoke of earlier. Martha could not change her son's financial choices or the silence on the other end of the phone. But she did something much more powerful. She chose to pull her peace back inside her own circle. Your circumstances may remain exactly as they are today, but you have found a new way to live within them with dignity. The greatest lesson we can take from the Stoic teachers is this hopeful truth: while you cannot control the storm, you are always the master of the sail. To help you keep this flame alive, I encourage you to follow the 7-day plan we discussed. You do not need to do it perfectly. Just start with day 1 tomorrow morning. Spend 5 minutes with your coffee and your 2 columns. It is a small commitment that yields a great harvest of peace over time. Before you move on with your day, I invite you to share one small commitment in the comments below. Perhaps it is simply choosing to take the 3-second pause or starting the morning inventory. If this reflection helped you find a moment of calm, please consider joining our community by subscribing and sharing this video with a friend who may be carrying a heavy heart. We are all walking this path together, and you are never truly alone in your efforts. Please remember these words as you rest tonight. Your character is your only true home. Some things are yours. Most things are not. Focus on what is yours. Focus on what is yours. Type "I choose" my response in the comments to anchor this lesson. These ideas are shared for reflection and personal growth, and they are not a substitute for professional mental health support. If you are going through something heavy, please reach out to someone you trust or a qualified professional. We respect every tradition of faith and offer these Stoic tools simply as a support for your spirit. Thank you for your presence today. Peace be with you.